Hi everyone, welcome back to WHU TV. My name is John, your host as always, and I hope you're doing well. As always, this live stream, I should say, is sponsored by the channel sponsor 3retro.com. Please click the link in the description below that will take you directly through to the West Ham section of their website, where you can purchase retro kits from the 60s all the way through to the early 2000s, including the 1976 home shirt. There's also which inspired this season's home kit. There's also the 1980 FA Cup final Trevor Brooking shirt that inspired this season's away kit, and there is also loads of West Ham other really nice retro gear. There's also the Admiral and Umbro West Ham color inspired track jacket. You know this, Bill, guys. But by all means, do click the link in the description below. Any purchases made through that link, any of the purchases being made will go directly. The commission that the channel would normally get, I should say, will be going directly to Isla's fight. So just say hello to everybody that's on here. So technically a 0-0 draw, clean sheet. Well done, lads. Will Miles Austin, good to see you, mate. First time you've commented on the on this channel. So yes, we are talking about AJ. Hello, mate. Evening. Panic diverted for a few days, eh? Good to see you. So guys, yeah, we are talking about Man City, West Ham United being postponed, unfortunately, today. As you know, the watch along was all planned, but it's been postponed due to health and safety reasons. For the first time ever, health and safety reasons are actually being used correctly because of the torrential weather, basically, shall we say, the what was it, the Gale Force Kira or Kiara, depending on your pronunciation, has now finished this fixture ahead of it even being kicked off. So in a way, I'm quite glad, to be honest with you. I'm quite glad that this game's been postponed. It's annoyance for everybody. Mitchell, if you're watching that, he said he wasn't going to go because of the weather, and he had the foresight, and so apologies to everybody up there. I hope you come back safe and still have a good day out in Manchester if you're not going to come back. And guys, but yeah, it was inevitable to a degree, and in a way, we don't have any more football. There was no more football for West Ham until the last Monday of the month when we're playing Liverpool away on the 24th. So from one point of view, it is very, very good that we're not having this anymore. We're not going to have the heart attack as me and Marshy were talking about yesterday. The heart attack is being postponed for this afternoon. I'm sure that obviously the game is going to be caught up at some point. When that's going to be, we'll obviously have to wait and see. Let's see who else is in the chat. AJ saying, even already done that. Roy Chappell, morning all. Good morning, Roy. Hope you're doing all right, mate. Jude, hello. Good to see you. AJ says, good to see you too, mate. Gutted it's postponed, but in saying that, definitely the best call. Agreed. James Hall is waving and saying hello. Hello, mate. Rick Cogger, Rick back again. The Cogger Master. Hope you're all right, mate. Stuart Russell, weather would have been an advantage. Just, mate, honestly, I know you're taking the piss, but it is ridiculous up there from what I'm reading. And so good. But guys, what I also want to say is thank you very much to everybody that's subscribed to the channel. We are now at 1,410 subscribers. Very, very happy with that. It was interesting having a look at my Facebook page earlier today, where it shows the memories and everything. It said that this time 2 years ago, I was happy being one away from 25 subscribers, and now I'm happy that we're 1,410. It's incredible growth, especially over the last 18 months since I've properly been doing cataloging every single game home and away since the beginning of the 18-19 season. I was doing as much as I could for the 17-18, but wasn't able to do for quite a few reasons. But guys, your support over the last 18 months, 2 years for that matter, has been absolutely excellent. It really, really has. We've got a nice little community going, so much so that both this channel, Irons United, and West Ham Fan TV have had imposter accounts being created over the last week or so. And that's been quite entertaining to see if you see that happening. It's not entertaining seeing people taking the piss on other channels, I've been saying, but I personally am very, very I'm very, very flattered that somebody is impersonating my channel. But this is the only true JPWHU TV, the only place where you will see somebody's face and actual content under the name of JPWHU TV. Guys, thank you very much for all your support. Harry's back in. Hello, mate. Good to see you. Roy says, at least we'll have Anderson back for that fixture. Possibly, Roy. Very, very possible. James Hall says, well done. Thank you very much, mate. Tobo Gig says, morning, Jay. A little extra time for the new players blend suits me. Yep, agreed. 100%. It's so we've got 15 days of no football as far as West Ham concerned. Obviously, on Saturday there will be the preview. Saturday week there will, well, 2 weeks yesterday, in fact, there will be the preview for Liverpool. So keep an eye out for that. Chris Mayer says hello as well. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well. Well, but as I say, it's not just to talk about the channel and how great you guys have been. I know you all like to have your egos quite swollen, which is why a lot of you. And it was quite entertaining to see some of the comments that have that went up with the last live stream as well. And a few little. Few little people. Hang on, sorry guys, my computer's pissing around a bit. Yeah, a few people trying to troll me in many guises as well. Jack Notridge, hello mate, good morning. Hope you're doing all right. Three Hammers, way, he's finally contacted me. Luke, it's good. Luke, if you're free, mate, do you fancy popping on if you're still about? Also gives Rice a rest, as Luke says. But yeah, at least I'm assuming that's Luke. So guys, I'm monitoring the chat as well for that matter, because the things have got a little bit spicy recently. So I want to make sure that everyone's doing okay. Lanzini 10, are you disappointed with the decision or are you happy not playing them? Hello mate, good to see you. I am happy that the right decision's been taken. I know there's a lot of people are pissed off about it, and it's understandable bearing in mind those that have travelled. But for me personally, I'm happy that, because it means that nobody's lives are at risk. Not that anybody would be at risk of it, but it's severe winds. I mean, we get severe winds down the bloody London Stadium if you're in the wrong position walking down the ground. So from that point of view, yes, I am very, very happy with it. Morning, John. Hello, Joan. How Antonio has more time to get fit. Yep, agreed. 100%. Joe Sirius says, Moy said there wouldn't be any warm weather training in the break. Now there's no game today. Maybe you should have a rethink. To be honest with you, mate, I don't want them to have warm weather training. If I'm completely honest with you, I really, really don't, because at the end of the day, they need to get their asses in gear, not go away on a holiday somewhere, and muck about. That's my personal thinking on it. They shouldn't be having any. It should be normal training. Everybody should be. Well, today I think they deserve to have a bit of a rest, because I know a few of them are going on being given some time off anyway. So yeah, that's understandable. Go home, see your family, chill out, have a nice Sunday with them, and just go on from there. But guys, as you can see from the title and also up here as well, I wanted to talk about some of the news that I try to talk about on when we did the preview on Thursday night, but there's so much to talk about, so I rushed through it and wasn't happy to rush through it. And so, guys, I want to talk to you about the news things. Tom McGraw says, I'm a Man City fan and we were going to batter you. About 6-0, he says. Yeah, Tom, thanks for watching, mate. Agreed. Thank you very much for popping on. It's always nice to have alternative people there. It's always good. Three Hammers says, coldest I've ever been at a football ground's the Etihad. Great. So obviously he's not answering if he wants to come on the channel. It's nice to see, actually, Luke, if that is you or if it's Paul. Nice to see that this is a genuine Three Hammers account, because I've just double checked it. It is a genuine account, so I'm happy with that. So good. Welcome, guys. Jack Notridge, I'm a Palace fan, but love your content. Keeping it up. Thanks, Jack. Thanks very much, mate. Much appreciated. Nathan, hello, mate. How are you? The only chance we got at scoring was from Storm Kira. Possibly, mate. Possibly. But as I said, guys, Joan's in the chat, and if I remember correctly, I did make her as a moderator So is she still like? Yeah, she is a moderator. So Joan, if you are still watching and the chat's getting a little bit tasty, then by all means, please make sure these guys know. Tom McGraw asks, what did you think the score would be? Tom, to be honest with you, son, I thought we were going to get absolutely turned over. Absolutely turned over. The amount of injuries we've got, bloody, bloody, blah. The poor performance we put in the second half against Brighton. Sure, Bruno's going to contest the other because he's a Brighton fan. But for me, that was it. That was it. That was me. I was just kind of thinking, well, we were going to get 2 or 3 nil down at half time today, and that would have been it. Lanzini, we're excited to see the debut and the game, but I'm happy to be playing them so we don't drop more. Not happy. Sorry, not playing them. I think he means, and more of a chance of relegation. How long are you filming for? I'll come on now if you post me a link. Yep, not a problem, mate. I will DM it onto your Twitter account now. I'm just going to say because one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on is because it's basically because, as I say, because it's not just about talking about this postponement, which will obviously would be nice to talk to you anyway and get you on. But I also want to talk to you about some of the news that's come out the last few days. I know you went on through some of your podcasts with Ryan about it, but I will literally just send you the invite now. So check your inbox in the coming moments, mate. I'll literally do it now. Sent in your Twitter inbox, mate. So it'd be nice to come and. It'd be nice to get you on, son. It really, really would. I've been waiting. I know we had a bit of chat against the game the other day, a few weeks back now. But it'd be nice to get you on. Anyway, so Tony, yeah, as I thought, not happy. Sorry, John. I gladly moderate, but I don't know how. Basically, Joan, if you see anybody putting up tasty comments, hover over their comment on the drop down. You see 3 little buttons. You click that. And you'll be able to ban people or put them in timeouts, etc., etc., etc. Anyway, your content's great, even if I'm a City fan. Thanks, Tom. Thanks very much, mate. Very, very appreciated. We'll learn though. Yeah, as I say, bear with me, bro. Yeah, not a problem, son. And you take your time. But as I say, the main purpose of this, So nice little comment coming from Nathan. Actually, where is it? Because I've just had to approve it. I don't think it's popped through yet. No, it hasn't popped through yet. But there's a nice little comment in there which Nathan was saying. Where is it? I've lost it now. Why do we always get the shit refs at the fishbowl? It's a good question there, mate. It's a good question. There's a lot of agenda, shall we say, and I'm sure if and when Luke gets onto the link, he'll be we'll talk about this as well. If it is Luke or Paul or maybe even the third one, you never know. But yeah, we'll. But yeah, it's interesting though, Nathan. I really agree with you because we do get a lot of tin pot referee decisions, and not just the decisions until hey, here we go, we've got a guest. Here he comes.
Hello.
Yes. Hello, mate.
All right, I took a while because I had to get the link from my phone and then put it on my computer. Yeah, nice to join you, mate. Nice to join. Sorry I didn't get back to you, mate. I just had to, I've been so busy and I do apologise, mate.
No,
but yeah,
right.
Pleasure to come on.
Mate. Good to see you. Right, Luke, first and foremost, mate, your thoughts on the game being postponed?
Well, at least we ain't going to lose this weekend. That's one good thing. Yeah, I think you've been discussing. I've been watching the show actually. Most of what you've been saying and what your fans have been saying, gives a chance. 15 days now for Moyes to, look at the team, give players a rest. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a bit blessing. Anderson will be fit, like you say, for the next game. Gives Bowen a bit more chance to play some more games. So yeah, I think it's a good thing in hindsight.
Definitely, and it gives Souček a good opportunity to get himself a little bit more match fit, get to know everybody a bit better as well, and hopefully learn a few bits more of English. Because that was the interesting thing when David Gold tweeted about how much of a polite young man he is. And so, of course, he's fucking polite. He can't understand a bloody word he's saying. He's going to be sitting there going, yeah, right. But yeah, no, God, honestly, Luke, it's fantastic to have you on, mate. Very good program this morning you did as well. The all the gear, no idea, and also more importantly, I'm very, very happy that your account hasn't been trolled yet.
Not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. I know it is.
Because that's
How
why.
do you
That's why
actually monitor
when
the
you're
chat? Can you just delete comments as you go along? Is that how it works?
well, because I've been doing that. I've had to ban a few people, unfortunately, but that's why I checked that it was actually genuinely you, because there was somebody's been impostering this account and went on to West Ham Fan TV when Nikki and Luke did Nikki and Ryan did their live stream on Thursday. That was they were trolling him a little bit, but good, yeah, mate. So yes, 2 weeks without West Ham. How's your blood pressure doing?
It gives me a chance to calm down at least, doesn't it? I won't be bantered when I go and work tomorrow that we've been spanked 5-0, which is a good thing. What did you make of Oliver Holt's article, mate? What did you make of Oliver Holt's article? Did you read that?
Sorry, say again.
The Oliver Holt article, the one in the Daily Mail. Did you read that? What a great article.
I read that this morning. It was one of the funniest things I've seen for a while. Really was good. His apology by basically rubbing their nose in it at the same point.
It was a brilliant article. Brilliant article.
Okay, so one of the things I want to talk to you about, Luke, because I know you're quite vehement, shall we say, about VAR. Tell me your thoughts on it for this season.
I did touch on it this morning a little bit. You know, there's faults there. You know, and it's very much you want a black and white decision, but you can't get that when you're still relying on human make the decision. You know, as I said, goal line technology is very much black and white. You know, It's a goal, it's not a goal. And when they use VAR in tennis and rugby, you know, it's very much a black and white decision. It was out, it was in, it was over the line. When you start getting to offsides and handball, you get all that. You know, it's opinion with red cards as well. You know, we went in really hard with his studs up. Again, that's an opinion on whether you think it's harsh or whether the referee sitting in London thinks it's harsh. You know, it's tough. It's tough. There's a lot of rules that need to be tweaked, I think, for it to work.
Definitely. And the CEO of the Premier League, Richard Masters, came out a few days ago, which I touched on briefly at the when I did the preview for this game. Said that he thinks that offside is one of the things that needs to be tweaked, and whether you want offsides that are precise to the armpit or the heel or whatever you want to build, or in Ryan's case, the nose. He was saying if someone's got a bigger nose than someone else, they're offside, and his feet is a little bit bigger.
I'll be offside every week. I would with my nose. Look at that.
Well, mate, that ain't going to work either for that matter. But this is the stupid thing. He says that it's a technical challenge. Well, what happened to the few years after the second phase of offside came in about giving the advantage to the attacker? What's happened to that? That's been absorbed by the sounds of things.
I think potentially the easiest way to do it again it would be controversial, because then you're talking about what body part. I think you just have to say clear daylight. If there's clear daylight, then you're offside. If you want to use VAR in that way, if you start, you know, getting the lines out for the armpit, or as Ryan Archer always says about cutting your toenails and things like that, that's when it starts getting a bit ridiculous. But I did say earlier, I really like the way it was used in the World Cup. I thought in the World Cup it was very consistently used. You know, if something was a penalty, 20 minutes later, the other team would get a penalty for exactly the same thing. I think if it's used that way as it was, then, you know, it's a good thing. But I don't know, the way Premier League, they're refusing to use it in the right way, you know, with the referees not going up to the screen. I thought that was really good during the World Cup.
Yeah.
But they're not using that. I don't know why, whether they've been told that. I don't know.
Well, that happened with, what's his name? Michael Oliver.
Oh, we lost JP.
Yeah.
It's become the 3 hours podcast.
I told you, mate, you were jinx. But no.
Yeah, you talk about Michael Oliver, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, because for the Palace game where he went and walked over and used it. We had him the following week for what game was it? Was it Sheffield United?
Yeah, I think so, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't do it.
He got plaudits from it for using it.
Yeah, and quite rightly so, because that's the whole point. That's the whole point of having the screen there. And that's I've been a big advocate of it all season. I've said time after time after time, it needs to be used correctly. The technology is perfect. So at the end of the day, if guys in the Sky Sports little booths are able to watch the replays and go, yeah, that's offside, that's not, then how come the referees that are using it aren't? It baffles me. It really
I don't think
baffles
I
me.
know there's obviously rules from the past, where you can't show the replays of controversial decisions in the stadium. I think if they did start that process, eventually, fans would calm to it. Like, in rugby, you see it on the screens when you're in the stadium, you see the decision, it getting rewinded and all that stuff. I think if it become the norm in the Premier League, the fans would take to it a bit more as well. You can actually see what's being disallowed, what is being allowed. Again, what do we know? We don't work for these. We ain't got these big boy
exactly.
jobs. You know what I mean?
We've only watched this sport since we've been able to walk.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, I do think it's overcomplicated by the people in the big jobs.
Oh, agreed, 100%.
Yeah.
Because he did go on to say we are in constant dialogue with the IFAB about VAR and about the way the Premier League does it versus everyone else, and what we can learn from the other leagues. Now, I have a lot of issue with this, mate. I really, really do. Because at the end of the day, why all of a sudden 2/3 of the way through the season, which is how it's implying, are they now saying, well, are we using this right? Surely everything should have been done from the World Cup, saying, right, this is how it was used, this is how it wasn't used correctly, this is how you should be adapting it into the Premier League. Not right. Look, it honestly sounds like a little kid at Christmas saying, right, I put the batteries in my new car, let's go and see how it drives. It's just
the best league in the world. The self-proclaimed best league in the world.
Yeah.
And we can't do it properly. It's always the way, isn't it? It's always the way. And the handball rule is just ridiculous.
Not to sound too much like quoting Jeremy Clarkson or anything, but it is kind of like, well, when he compares how cars are made on the continent as opposed to how cars are made in here, it's exactly the same things. Yeah, well, we kind of got it a little bit wrong, but we'll stammer it through. It's just that's the way things are with it. It's ridiculous. But one of the funniest things that Lucas Brud, I think you pronounce it, the secretary of the IFB, came out in December and said there should not be a lot of time to spend. There should not be a lot of time spent to find something marginal. If something is not clear on the first sight, then it is not obvious and it shouldn't be considered. And he's 100% right. So if that's the bloke who's exactly, I mean, if he's one of the guys that are in charge of the people that are letting the Premier League use this fucking technology, then why aren't they adhering to what he's saying? Like, for example, what was it? The Liverpool game, I think, last week. Took 2.5 minutes, or whatever game it was, took 2.5 minutes for a decision to be made. And at the end of the day, he said, yeah, goal stood, or it was a foul, or whatever it was. I can't remember what it was now, but it really does my head in.
It's a big conspiracy that VAR was made for Liverpool to win the league. So, and no offense to any Liverpool fans in the chat.
I mean, you touched on it about how well it was used in the World Cup, and I agree 100%. There was a lot, but at the same point, there was a lot of examples of how badly it was used at the same time as well. And there's a lot of people. That's when people started saying, right, I don't want VAR in the Premier League. It's going to absolutely ruin it. But at the same point, yeah, I mean, it's like with everything. It's all trial and error. But you can't have, bearing in mind how much money and how much it affects people's lives. Because I know a lot of people. I mean, you yourself, mate, as you're saying, you would have got trolled tomorrow going into work. Probably, I'm hoping by none of the kids that you teach.
Oh, they give it to me all the time, mate. How do you spell West Ham? How do you spell West Ham?
We'll get grief, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to say the only way that West Ham come out of a result of the weekend is by the weather. I know a few people are going to be saying that over the next few days, but it absolutely does my head in. Luke, did you also see about the summer transfer window going back to its usual schedule?
Yeah. Do partly agree with it. Sometimes it's good for it, ending on that first day, but also, I don't know. For example, we would have benefited if it would have went on that little bit longer. I can't remember quite when Fabianski got injured. If it would have went on that little bit longer, we probably could have seen some of the holes in the team. And I don't know, I think it benefited Sullivan and Gold more than it did West Ham as a football team. That they could. Right, the season started. now we're going to get rid of Hernandez, we're going to get rid of this one, get rid of that one. And I think it benefited them more than it did, like I say, us as a club.
Agreed, 100%. You know, because I've said it. You and Paul have said it on quite a few occasions. Why the fuck get rid of 4 attacking players and then bring only in 2? You know, it is ridiculous.
Especially like this year with sorry mate to but especially this year with the Euros. You know, with the Euros there, if it would have finished the first game of the season, you know, that doesn't give a lot of time for players to do negotiations because they're aware, especially good players that would go into your first team. They're probably going to be at the Euros. So again, it makes it a bit harder. So it makes sense to go on to that August 31st deadline for me. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely agree. And that's the issue. If every other league had adopted it, we wouldn't have talked about it. We wouldn't be talking about it now. It's going back to normal, and that's the problem. It's the ignorance of the Premier League saying, right, okay, well, we'll close it now, but you'll have to still get rid of players if bids come in and you accept them. I mean, it just made absolutely no logic. But at the same point, I understand the reasons behind it because, like I say, it makes it because the original plan was to get everything done before the season started, and therefore would have worked perfectly, and it would have done, as I say, if La Liga, Liga, and etc. adopted the same thing. So, but having said that, having it for another 3 or 4 weeks into the season is prime. For example, as you're saying, if we got an injury, because if I remember correctly, wasn't it Fabianski's injury was like a few days after the actual transfer?
Yeah, I can't remember when it was. I think in September, whenever the Bournemouth game was. But I'm thinking it was September when he went down.
So by the time everybody else had done all their business, he got injured. So whereas so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. But you're right. If we'd had that little bit of leniency of having the 2-3 weeks into the season, then it would have been bam. That's it. He's injured. Shit. Let's bring somebody else in quickly.
I'm sure, even like up to Man City, for example, with Laporte. I think Laporte got injured very early. They would have gone out and bought another big centre back for the cover. Again, it just limits you if you have a big injury. I know it limits everyone, but it's just the way it is.
Now, I'm sure you've talked about this recently, Luke. Cameron Robson. One of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it today is he's being interviewed by the American Hammers later on today. So, guys, go check their channel out because I'm sure that's going to be a very, very interesting, very, very interesting indeed conversation with them about everything. But, Luke, what were your thoughts on him being banned for the rest of the season for inciting the crowd?
It's just ridiculous, mate. It is absolutely ridiculous. With your hat on for rules, I suppose. Yeah, okay, you broke the rules, but I think someone said that he would have enticed more violence if he would have wore a Gold Sullivan and Brady in t-shirt than a Gold Sullivan and Brady. The fans will be behind him. He's certainly not going to wind the fans up with that top on. And it's sort of the geezer at Newcastle where he got his willy out and. He got a life ban. He got racists that are only getting 3 year bans. Do you know what I mean? It just makes no sense. Golden Sullivan running scared again of what's going on, trying to silence the media. So yeah, I totally disagree with it. Maybe you could have given him a 2-3 match ban, or even to the end of the season. But for a lifetime ban, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And long may this continue, this protest, It was good to sit on the boxing last night as well. It's getting out there, the message,
That was funny. That was really, really funny seeing that guy holding the little coaster up over his shoulder. That was brilliant.
Sky Sports as well is brilliant, where they obviously apologise. It adds even more fuel to it.
But, for me, I agree 100%. Why people with racial racial abuse only get X and Y? Why not? If at the end of the day, if Paul Colburn, right, has to be suspended indefinitely from attending football for doing what he did, even though he admitted the fact that he knew what was coming and was happy to take his punishment, and quite rightly so. How come there's, like you say, the bloke who got his fucking cock out? That's just it's ridiculous. The way that things are done are just mental at the best of times. But who did he incite? With the exception of the little Welsh mole, who else did he piss off? I didn't see anybody. I didn't see one. I didn't even know. I mean, I was at the game and I didn't.
Come out till after the game, did it?
Exactly. That's the whole point. There was no issue with it. Nobody was throwing stuff at him, booing him, or telling him to fuck off. There was none of that. If that had happened, then they've got a good point. But it didn't. So I don't really see the point of it at all. Yeah. But
he talks really well, the guy as well. I listened to his TalkSport interview. He seems quite switched on, the guy. So he's not one of these rent-a-mob guys that are going to cause violence. He was just making a sort of peaceful protest, and he used the stage as wisely as he can, and it's worked. It's worked. He's got loads of publicity from it.
Exactly, and also what was it? The Current Buns article today with Tony Gale and
Steve Lomas.
Stevie Lomas, that's it. Yeah, saying that the protest should be dropped, and we all get behind David Moyes. Well, have those guys not been looking at anything over the last 6 weeks? We're all behind Moyes.
Really, I like Tony Gale. He usually talks good stuff about West Ham, but obviously I don't know whether they've got ambassador roles at the club. They do their little snoozing with the posh people on the day. One of these people that show people around the posh bits. I don't know whether there's some of that in that. I don't know, mate.
It's just it's again. It's kind of you're right. It looks like they've been asked to say it, and it's just pissing more people off, and that's the problem. But the interesting thing is, because I've done a little bit of digging over the last few days, because obviously it came out earlier in the week that David Sullivan's looking to sell his Russell and Bromley store in Oxford Street. Now the stupid thing is that the articles that have been talking about it tell everybody exactly where it is. It literally gives the address. It gives the address. Not the best of ideas, bearing in mind how many people are pissed off with David Sullivan at the moment. So I'm surprised nothing's come out in the papers about that shop being blasted with Christ knows what at the minute. I'm surprised that hasn't come out. And so from Clarendon Hughes' point of view and a few other pages that published it, if something happens to that shop, they've got to take responsibility for telling people exactly where it is. As far as I'm concerned.
Hopefully nothing happens to the shop. Because I think the way we're doing the protest, the guys at Hammers United are doing it so well because they're not giving them any fuel to say we're violent, we're beating people up, we're shouting at them, we're threatening 80-year-old men. This peaceful way of doing it is sending such a bigger message because they can't spin the media with it. It's so good.
Exactly. I mean, that's one of the things that annoys me about David Gold that came when his article came out Friday morning, when he was saying, "Oh, he fears for his safety." Well, nobody's actually done anything. He's playing the victim card once again. But going back to, for example, what he said about those hundreds fan round him after we lost to Wigan, I think it was in the FA Cup. What it was two people. That was it. Yeah. Dom and Marshy talking to him. That was it, and that's all it was. And yet apparently, loads of fans shouting and throwing things at him. It's just really does my. I love the bloke. I really do.
In this day and age, someone would have had it on a mobile phone. Yep. If he was, getting harassed really badly, everyone does it. Get your mobile phone out. Oh, look, David Gold getting da-da-da-da. There's no videos anywhere. No videos.
Exactly, and that's kind of the point. As I say, I love David Gold a bit. I really, really do. But the last 18 months, I'm sitting there thinking, mate, just please be quiet. Just in general, all of them, just shut up. Yeah. Just concentrate on what you're supposed to be doing. Not do all the play they are doing and make themselves the victims when they're talking bullshit left, right, and centre. I mean, that stuff he came out with saying.
Go on, mate. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff he came out saying.
When he retweeted the Sky Sports thing. Again, who's advising this geezer? Do you know, he retweeted the Sky Sports apology, and it's like, you're just going to fuel the West Ham fans up even more. Like you say, just shut up. Just shut up.
I mean, about him saying, what do I say to my 12-year-old granddaughter when I've been saying that you're not a liar, granddad, are you? And all this sort of stuff. It's just like, anyway, that's a video in its own, mate, to be honest with you. It really is.
I agree.
But as I said, I did a bit of digging over the last few days in terms of, because this David Sullivan selling the store for 50 million, that rang a bell. I was trying to figure out why. Apparently, the reason why it rang a bell was because that's how much Gold and Sullivan sold the Daily Sport for in 2007. Exactly the same amount of money. Now, I don't know if you know this, but they were actually on the board back in '91. They had almost a 30% part of the board stake, and their plan was back in the early '90s was to do exactly what as they've done over the last 10, 12 years, is to increase their stakes so they become the majority stakeholders there and then. But in those days, because of their how can I politely put this without getting a strike from YouTube? Their dodgy dealings in certain entertainment aspects, shall we say? That's probably the best way of doing it. Is even though I've probably used worse language in this video over the last half hour, it stopped them from the actual board that in those days actually stopped them from doing it, and so they sold their stake and they bought Birmingham City as well. Almost bought Leeds. Almost bought Leeds.
Oh God, yeah. Well, Leeds are another club, aren't they? Completely unlucky over the years, haven't they? Loads of bad luck over the years.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about one of the? I think it might have been the Slavia Prague manager that came out and said that they wanted us to get relegated, so that they get Souček back next season. What are your thoughts on that?
I did read that. Well, if he's as good a player, as he's rated, then you can understand why the manager said that, can't you? But it's a win-win for them either way. If we stay up, they get a good 18 million, which is a lot of money in their league. Their players are not on a lot of money out there. They're probably on maximum 10, 20 grand a week out there. Bit nasty. You can understand why he said it, because he does look like he's a very good player, and hopefully we do stay up and see the better of him.
Absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong, mate. I'd be very happy if we got down in the Championship, if it means that we'll start seeing our old West Ham back. But at the same point, I don't want to be going to the rest of the home games and doing the watch-alongs for the away games, sitting there screaming left, right, and centre. I hate it.
Yeah, but, I mean, Lee from the channel shares the same opinion. I know Lee ain't been on the channel for God knows how long. He shares the same opinion as Ian, mate. He's actually one of them ones that are looking forward to going down. He goes, new grounds to go and see. But I just think it would kill us as a football club if we go down. I'm very nervous. I know we're not the West Ham we know anymore, but if we go down, it'll be heartbreaking to see Rice, in a Man United shirt or Tottenham shirt, wherever it is. And that's what I don't want to see.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, mate, about Moyes' comments on Friday. I get it 100%, because at the end of the day, if we do go down, and there is a very good chance we'll lose Rice because he wants to keep his England place, and I get it 100%. Really, really understand it. But if that happens, then that will be civil war. I really, really think that will be.
I say it, mate. I've said it so many times over the years. Most heartbreaking moment I've had as a West Ham fan is seeing Joe Cole the day he signed for Chelsea when we went. And, to see it again, like Declan Rice potentially in the summer, I don't want to see that again. I've had that. And I remember that week specifically, I think Di Canio left, then Trevor Sinclair went, then Joe Cole went. These were heroes, these were top players. And you just see our club completely ripped to pieces, and I don't want to see that again. That's why I don't want us to go down.
No, I know what you mean, because I mean, even if we, we get rid of the lazy lot, shall we say, and keep the core players of, like you say, like we were able to keep Rice. Even we ain't coming back for a good few seasons, mate. We're really not.
And it's the question I'll ask you, mate. If we do go down, would you keep Moyes? Does Moyes inspire you to get us back up?
I was talking to a friend of mine about this last night. Bearing in mind he signed on an 18-month contract, I would give him those 12 months to see if he can get us back up. I really, really would. I mean, at the end of the day, Rafa Benitez was able to do it with Newcastle in the most stylish way possible. Will Moyes be able to do it? I don't think so. I really don't. But I would like to see him given the chance. He needs at least a proper season with us. That's my thinking on it.
Yeah, I think if he was backed fully, and actually, I said it on the show earlier about given there was a proper 5-year plan of this is how this club is going to be run, top from bottom, then I think Moyes could succeed. But then I don't trust those guys at the top to do that for him. And that's why I think he's always sort of destined to fail a little bit, Moyes. Unfortunately.
Any manager.
Yeah, any manager, yeah. Because Slav's proven it now, Slav wasn't a bad manager. Maybe he was a bit too nice, but, he's probably one of the most wanted quantities outside the Premier League now, He's proven he can get a club out of the Championship, which is not easy.
Agreed, and especially the way they're doing it as well. For that matter, odds on to be winning the table itself, rather than doing it the bloody difficult way we always fucking do it. I want to win the Championship once, not go through as great fun as a day out is at Wembley. But I just want us to be able to say, that's it. We've actually won a table. Do you know what I
mean? Yeah. How nice would that be?
Now, also, it broke during the week, talking about Rafa Benitez, that apparently his family wants him out of China and back into Europe. What are your thoughts on that, mate? Do you reckon he's going to be a contender?
Like I said, I did touch on this a little bit on the podcast. I work with a Newcastle fan, and he speaks nothing but praise of Rafa. The way he turned that club round on a shoestring, completely changed the philosophy of the coaching, changed the way the scouting was run, and like you say, won the Championship with flying colours. And I think if he was backed at Newcastle would have been a real force. I think he could have, gotten to sort of that Everton-y level, or sort of the level we want to be at. That top 7, top 8. Yeah, I'd be all over Rafa Benitez if there was an opportunity to get him. I know he's turned us down a couple of times, but again, it's the question marks of, is it because he doesn't want to manage West Ham, or he doesn't want to work with Gold Sullivan and Brady? That's the question marks you have to ask yourself there.
Yeah, he's got more integrity, in my opinion. He's got more integrity to work with those leeches. He really, really does. I agree with you 100%, Luke, but it's just zonal marking. That is my big issue with Benitez. Granted, I've been saying it for many seasons now. We've slowly been doing that over the last few seasons. Anyway, the amount of times we've started all our defenders have started tracking back, getting into around about 20 yards before the white line, and then start defending. And that really, I've hated that a lot. But Kent Hammers has asked a very, very good question here, where he says, "How many fans do you think we get in the Championship in the ground, especially midweek, as Sky show all games?" Luke, you take that one first, mate.
Yeah, that's a good question, mate. I think we could get 40. I think we'd regularly get 40,000 over there. And if the big games like Millwall, for example, you are going to get the 60 full out. But I think you could go maybe 40. I think there's maybe even a chance you could say close the whole of the top tier up and just have the bottom tier open potentially. I don't know whether that's feasible, but I think we'd get at least 40 now.
Possibly. I'm thinking probably no more than how much we used to get at the bowling before last time round. I'm probably thinking 28, 29,000 maybe. Bearing in mind, not many tourists are going to want to jump in and do it and see Championship games when they can just pop down the road not down the road, but a few miles north and go to Spurs or Arsenal to do it.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Jones asked a very, very cool question here. Said, would Rafa be given money for scouts and training ground? Go and Luke, you take this one, mate, because I'm going to stop.
Again, that's sort of touching on it just there a minute ago, wasn't it? I think a lot of the reason Rafa has not come is because of that reason. He's probably gone, right, I would need such and such 200 million. Let's just say I need to bring in this coaching team that's going to cost £3-4 million a year. And they've gone, do one. We're not spending no money on you. You've got to do it on this amount, £50 million. All your transfers are going to be paid monthly, and you've got to take this just South American guy on loan as well. And he's probably gone, no, bollocks to that.
You think it's going to be as high as 50 million? That's that's 50
million with sales.
But yeah, no, that's the worry. There is no long-term plan, and it's clearly obvious. And whoever we have next season or whenever it is, we're never going to have. That was, if you heard that thud, that was a massive lightning bolt that just hit.
What? Where were you at?
Well, I'm not that far from you, mate. I'm in Chigwell, so it feels like we're in Malaysia at the moment, the way it's raining, but it's just ridiculous.
I think, like you say, with a plan, mate, as well. We're the only club where the manager picks the director of football. Yeah. In Husilios. Again, wasn't Husilios' fault. But, a director of football, as I always say, is there to identify the manager, identify players. You know, we're going to play this way. We're going to look for players that play this way. We're going to look for managers that play this way. And, you know, Husilius wasn't allowed to do the job that he was meant to do. You know, really, when Pellegrini was sacked, it was his job to go and find the manager. But David Salem wouldn't allow that. I don't know whether you read that Ian Pearce is being touted as the next director of football at West Ham. Good player, I used to like him. But what his credentials are as a director of football, I don't know.
Well, like with everything with West Ham, including the games, mate, we just have to wait and see what happens. Because that's the point. You can't quantify anything. You can't say, well, you know, because there's one of the things, as much as I love how much news is leaked in various guises nowadays, I hate it at the same point. I miss the old days. I miss the old days that you pick up the newspaper and you see, right, that's who we've signed, or do you know what I mean? But yeah, it really, really gets my back up with a lot of time, especially when there's a lot of fake in the nose out there and the genuine in the nose get in the neck as a result of it.
Yeah,
which is really cool. There was a Jimmy's TJ is back and says, "Hey, buddy, it's Jimmy. Cheers, Luke. I've agreed with everything you have said." He must be drinking.
Yes, I hope you subscribe to the Free Hammers, mate.
I'm sure he will. I'm just going to put that up because it looks like Batman on a bad day in this picture. I absolutely love it.
It's a great picture, that is. Great.
It's a great picture.
Wish I had that much hair.
I'm really angry with Postponed just because it's fitting well with my schedule, and I had a good vibe.
Yeah, I know. Paul just texted me actually. He said he's got the day off today, and he can't watch West Ham anyway.
So between the two of you, you guys have definitely jinxed football.
Yeah.
Kent Hammers says, in question to his answer earlier, I can't see 40,000 considering a lot of fans have gone and more hangers on will go. Yeah, very, very good point, mate. Very, very good point.
I think the only other argument I'll put back to you there, Kent, is what the season ticket price would be. You know, if the season tickets are really, really low, you know, you may get a few more families going, you know what, because some people just like going to watch football in general rather than just West Ham. Again, whether that would happen, I don't know. Whether the tickets would go down that much. Obviously, the rent goes down by half. So in theory, they could cut the season tickets by at least a third.
Well, this is the thing. In the next 5 or 6 weeks, we'll see what the
when we're linked with
deadline is. Exactly. Yeah.
Season.
Exactly. So,
Mbappe. Red Bull taking over, and Mbappe's going to be the first signing.
Now, for me, bearing in mind they're trying to get, which some actually we'll come on to it now. Actually, I was going to leave it for a little bit longer, but this has actually gone into quite good timing. 2 new tiers coming in the North and the South Bank, aka the Bobby Moore and the Trevor Brooking next season to get us get us closer to the pitch. Now, for you, Luke, for bearing in mind you only had 1 full season at the London Stadium, if I remember correctly, and you've
the first year.
It's in a few times this season. Two wins and a loss, if I remember correctly. The games you've seen, isn't it?
2 wins and a loss for me.
Do you honestly think now, bearing in mind if they are supposed to be coming closer, that means that the roof will have to be extended as well, for that matter. But bearing in mind, say for example, in an ideal logical world where the seats are moved forward, the roof is extended, do you honestly think that's going to fix the problems at the London Stadium?
No, it's a quick fix. I don't know whether you've seen the picture. I think it's a very well edited picture. It's very well edited, like when we first moved to the London Stadium, very well edited. That gap's just going to be even bigger from the top tier to the lower tier. It might get a bit more noise behind the goal. If you're as far away as probably maximum as Wembley or somewhere like the Emirates, if you've ever been there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a little tick box exercise to look like they're doing something, I think. And it will probably be done very cheaply as well.
Exactly. I mean, what was it supposed to, if I remember correctly, WHU came out with, and a few other places probably just nicked the article as well for that matter, saying that it was meant to be costing, was it 11 million over 4 or 5 years? So it's practically nothing. And one of the best news I've seen for a while in terms of the squad itself, we finally have a 25-man squad. Luke, when was the last time we ever actually had that?
I know, mate. I know, bloody long time ago. Nice to actually have some options. like you say, there are some lazy ones still in there. But
Yeah.
nice to have a few because our bench has been, and like you say, mate, for a long time, our bench has been quite bleak. You know, you look at that bench and you think, is anyone actually going to come on and do anything here? Is there any game changers? But when you think, you know, if the game would have kicked off today, you potentially could have had Bowen on the bench. You could have had Anderson on the bench, one of Lanzini or Funnels on the bench as well. No, that's looking a little bit more exciting, a little bit more like, oh, there's someone that can change a game. But yeah, when you've got 3 centre-backs on the bench, it doesn't leave much to imagination, does it?
It smelt of Allardyce again, didn't it?
Yeah,
it really has.
Yeah.
But that in itself is the worry, bearing in mind that we've let some of the massively talented kids that could have easily broken through to the first team this season. I mean, obviously, Ngakia technically has because he had his game and stuff, but which I absolutely love him. I've been putting him in right back ever since he played. I really have.
Yeah. No, he did really well, mate. At the end of the day, playing the best team in the world, going to be nervous. You're going to make a few little mistakes. He did well. He did well. He needs to put a bit of weight on, but he's only young. You know, he's only a pup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Joe Cole was gutting for me, mate.
Yes.
I worked with Joe Cole at Cumberland. Do you know what I mean? When I worked at Cumberland School, I was like working as a football coach over there. This is one of the best young players I've ever seen in my life. Do you know what I mean? Like, unreal. And obviously on his debut against Macclesfield, he set up 2 goals, and we never see him again. And he's gone and scored for Burton on his second game.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know. Maybe his face didn't fit. I don't know.
You never know, mate. He'll set it up in the lower leagues. We'll try and buy him back in 4 or 5 years.
He's a massive West Ham fan as well. Huge West Ham fan he is.
One thing that annoyed me was seeing Anthony Scully go as well. Oh, that really got my back. As with Dan Kemp going to fucking Stevenage. They're in a relegation scrap. I get it, but I don't. It's not to nick your catchphrase there, mate. You know that. Because you ain't done that for quite a few weeks now.
It's the Southampton video. That's the one that always comes back to bite me. That one, the Southampton one, the longest.
Jimmy's asked quite a good question. If I can just find where it's gone again. Right, one question: postponement, good, bad, or indifferent?
Good. Like I say. To be honest, I was quite positive today. I did have a feeling, as Lee Evans says, that we might get something. It gives us 15 days rest, and you can't buy that in the Premier League. 15 days to get everyone back, and we'll be back. Yeah, so good for me. What about you, mate?
I'm very happy with it. I said at the start of the show, I'm very, very happy with it because, for one, it means that my blood pressure is going to be all right for the next couple of weeks. But also bearing in mind that it was inevitable we were going to get turned over. So it's not. I know we'll get turned over whenever the new fixture comes up. But yeah, just regroup, have a few people.
That I suppose you could take as a positive as well. If they were to progress a bit more in the Champions League, obviously the league's gone. The league's gone for them.
Yeah.
They progress a bit more in the Champions League. If this falls sort of, in a Champions League sort of middle bit of one of their big games, Champions League is priority for them now. They have to go and win that, or at least get in the final. So again, that could play into our hands a little bit. They should beat us whatever team they put out, but if one eye is on a Champions League game, it may play into our hands a bit.
Yeah. I hate to say it, mate, but they could put out their H side.
Look, mate, Leicester's the worst Arsenal team I've seen in 20 years beat us.
Oh, tell me about it. I know that was awful. 5 minutes of stupid football, and they go and get those goals. It was ridiculous. Yeah. And also, just how long have we been going for? Yeah, almost an hour. So, try and wrap this up quickly. But I just want to get your thoughts on Kevin Nolan and. Was it Paul Nevin as well coming in the back?
I'll start with Nevin because I don't know much about him, so I can get that one done quite quick. The only thing I know about him is from Gonzo's video, actually, from Mama's chat, saying that he's worked abroad everywhere, and obviously he was part of Southgate's team, which is excellent. But Nolan's brilliant. One of our best captains for the last few years. He's a voice, he's not going to take no prisoners in there. He's not going to have nothing lazy going on in there. And he talked really well. I don't know whether I think it was on TalkSport or something like that. He was saying about when he was manager of Notts County, he got him into training the next day. When he was West Ham captain, he used to go to Sam right at 6 o'clock in the morning, get him back in. So, maybe he will stop. He will put the arm around players if they're not doing well, but he will also stop this culture of laziness. I think.
Yeah.
I think he will hopefully get a little bit more out of him. I hope.
One of the things I would love to hear, I know we're never ever going to hear it, but Kevin Nolan, bearing in mind him being the Scouser, you just know that in the training grounds or Anderson hopefully will score a worldy sort of goal that we know he's able of doing. It'd be funny to hear Nolan going up to Moyes and go, "Oh, that's boss." It's going to happen at some point. But the funny thing was, I mean, I'm very happy that these two have come in. Very, very happy for Nolan for exactly the same reasons you said, that he's really gonna put some fight back into him. He's gonna holler at him big time. But the funny thing was Pat Nevin. Now I don't know if you follow him on Twitter or not, mate, but I do. And he put up a tweet on yesterday morning saying, "Thank you to everybody that's welcomed me to the West Ham backroom staff. Just to let you know, it's not me. it's Paul Nevin, because if it was me, this is the first I've heard of it." It was brilliant. It really was good. But
great appointment.
Yeah, very, very, very good. I mean, I don't know much about Paul Nevin, the same as you. I've only done the same sort of research that Gonzo's done. That he worked for the Premier League for a couple of years. He went over and was a coach over in New Zealand, New Zealand Knights. Was even over in Qatar for a little while, and is in the coaching staff for Norwich City as well at some point, which I didn't know. But I'm very, very happy that. My only concern of it is that it's till the end of the season. Now, I understand the reasons why. I get the reasons why. It says to me that Moyes is gone at the end of the season, no matter what happens. I mean, why bring in temporary coaches?
Yeah, it does scream that a little bit. Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah.
Because if they wanted him to be on there permanently, then they'd be here for another year or so. But yeah, it does worry. And Jazz is probably going to kill me because I haven't put any of his messages up, but he has put a little good comment down here. Said we should have recalled Diangana and Holland as they are better than seeing Sanchez on the bench.
God. Hope that geezer never puts a West Ham shirt on again.
And these players can change a game. Jazz agreed 100%. They are game changers, and hopefully, Bowen will be a game changer now is Liverpool.
Yeah, I said it about Diangana myself. You know, if you were, as a Premier League team, if you're looking at Championship players you'd want to sign, it probably would have been Bowen and Diangana. And Diangana's on loan from our club when we need him. Do you know what I mean? It just sums West Ham up a little bit.
While we're talking about just briefly before we finish this, mate, what do you think is going to happen with Diangana come the end of the season?
Again, it depends where we are. I think if we go down, I think there still is. I think Gonzo called it actually really well. I think there's a shout that we loan him to West Brom if they go up, and so he gets to stay in the Premier League. But we need him. We need him. But, if we stay up, then I expect him to be a big part of our starting 11 next year. I really do. It's definitely around the squad at least. Anyway.
So now. One last question, mate. I saw this went up on Twitter earlier today, and it's a really interesting question. I mean, it's a lot of people slammed them for saying this, but if we'd have had Yarmolenko fit, if we'd have had Anderson fit, and we'd have had Fabianski fit, do you honestly think that we would be in the same position that we are now?
No. That question come up for us actually. I think if Fabianski wouldn't have got injured, the defence, wouldn't have got so nervous, and it just went the whole way through our team, didn't it? The Roberto thing, they couldn't pass back to him. We was always one mistake away from being 1-0 down. Antonio makes Haller a better player, personally, for me. I think, especially how the league is, it's so tight. If we were to put some wins in, there's still a chance we could finish in the top half of the table, even this late in the stage. But I think we would have maybe been in the top 8 if those wouldn't have got injured.
No, I agree, Luke. I mean, that's a very, very good shout, mate. I mean, Everton are 7th now after yesterday. It's crazy. They were only a couple of points away from us a few weeks back. Rick, as always, the benefactor is has donated £5 to the channel in the super chat. Thank you very much, Rick. Honestly, he gives me more money than YouTube, man. I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. He does. He's bought t-shirts out of the channel shop as well.
Oh, I love it.
He's a top bloke. I did get to see him briefly at the end of the Liverpool game. It was always good to see him, and hopefully he said he's going to try and come back get a game for the Southampton game, ticket for the Southampton game as well.
Lovely, man.
But Luke, before we wrap up, mate, is there anything that you want to talk about before we finish? I know you went into quite a lot of depth this morning, but
no, mate, not really. Just good luck to you, mate, and thanks for having me on. Really, real pleasure. Sorry I didn't get back to you sooner in the week, but I'm glad we did finally work it out, and it's been a pleasure. Actually, it's been a nice, good conversation. It's always nice to share ideas with someone different, not Paul all the time. So yeah, it's been a good chat, mate. Thanks for having me on. And guys, please get this guy up to 2,000. Get this guy up to 2K.
That would be nice. It would be nice to get 590 more people on board. That'd be brilliant. But and also one of the other things I've got in common with Paul, mate, is this microphone, because he uses his old DJ mic, doesn't he, the whole time? So
yeah. I need to get myself one. I like that little thing you got there, like your little Joe Rogan thing there. It makes it look more posh, doesn't it?
Mate, it keeps the farts out, this thing, I tell you, it really does.
Cheers for mate. Absolute pleasure, mate.
Yeah, it's been likewise, and as I say, this was completely unplanned. I know we've been trying to get each other sorted out ironically today, but it was completely unplanned, and I really appreciate your time taking out, and everybody in the chat as well. Guys, thanks very much. It's always great to see you guys and talk. And as we've been talking, a few people have been talking to each other as well, which I'm always loving to see. But guys, as I say, if you're new around here and you like what I'm doing, then by all means, please do hit the subscribe button. You know the old spiel. Put your comments in the comments below, guys, for those that are watching the replay. And as I say, thank you to everybody that's been in the chat as well. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. And you'll probably see me some point during the week for a video that I'm going to do. A couple of people have asked me some really good questions in terms of their suggestions on content, so I'm going to sort that out. So guys, thank you very much for